Hi there, students. I'm XS. That's little x, little s, which stands for extra sweet, because that's what I am. Today's lesson will be a little different. If you've been following along with my lessons, then you know that today you have a test. Ooh, sudden shock and gasping noises from the students in the back. In all seriousness, let me talk to you a little about my teaching philosophy, about the purpose of these lessons, and about my goals for you. I don't really believe in grades, at least not in any official way. I do believe in games and competition and fun. And if I can help you learn Japanese in a way that's fun, then honestly, we're all better for that, in my humble opinion. One of the reasons that I decided to start this channel was because I saw a lot of Japanese language learning content on YouTube, and I just felt it was a little dry and boring, and I wanted to do something that would be more fun, vibrant, and, dare I say, interesting. I stated this in one of my earlier videos, but the truth is that if I can inspire just one person to want to invest their time in learning Japanese, then I will truly feel as though I have accomplished what I set out to do. In my heart, I just want to help you all learn this language that I'm extremely passionate about. So let's quickly discuss this test. What should you expect? First, I do encourage you to keep score as you go along. Not because I'm grading you, but because I think it's a great way to assess your learning. It helps you see where you might need more practice and what you've learned so far. You can also brag about how amazing you did in the comments. This should be just as much about learning the material and increasing your Japanese knowledge as it is a test. So please keep in mind that I'll be giving you the answers as we go along. That way you can test yourselves and still gain knowledge even when you got something wrong. I also want to say that this is a brand new format for me. I've never delivered a test quite like this one before, and in all honesty, I don't know how well it would work. It might not be helpful at all. If that's the case, please feel free to tell me. I'll revisit my process for the next time. We're growing and learning together, and if you're learning to be better students from me, then the least I could do is learn to be a better Puppy-Sensei for you. The test itself will have 25 questions, plus 3 bonus questions. If you've watched my previous videos, then the questions should be easy at the start, and moving up to more challenging as we go along. The last few questions will ask you to actually write in Japanese. That's something we haven't spent a long time covering, so please don't be discouraged if you can't do it. Just feel free to practice writing the answers out, even if you don't know them off the top of your head. So with the 3 bonus questions then, there are a total of 28 points that you can score on the test. Hint: the bonus questions are hidden in my videos somewhere. Well, if you're ready, then I'm ready. Let's move into my creepy testing room and we'll take a test together. Ikimashou! Let's go! Welcome to my creepy underground testing room. It's moody, right? Perfect place for shattering your dreams. Mwahahaha! No, I'm kidding. I promise that this little test won't be so bad at all. By the way, most of these questions are multiple choice, so you don't actually need a pen or pencil until the end of the test when I ask you to write out the answers for the last few questions. And even then, if you don't want to or can't do that, that's perfectly fine. Let's get started, okay? Here's your first question. You're just identifying the sound that the hiragana in the question makes. It should be super easy, right? So is this hiragana A, B, yo, C, E, or D, ku? And of course the answer is C. This hiragana makes the E sound. Note that when we write it in English, we usually write it with the letter I. So sometimes people end up getting confused and thinking that this should be pronounced I, since it's spelled with the letter I in English, but it's pronounced E. Here's your next question. It's the same as the last one. What sound does this hiragana make? Is it A, ko, B, ni, C, ga, or D, go? The right answer is D, go. Remember that when you have one of the K sounds with a dakuten, those 2 little lines, the sound of the consonant will be changed from a K sound to a G sound. So ko plus dakuten equals go. I also threw ni in there to see if you would be fooled by the fact that ko and go both somewhat resemble ni, but without the front vertical line. So here's ni, and here's ko, and you can see how they might look similar. Moving on to the next question, here's a hiragana glide that includes one of our small y sounds. Do you remember how you would pronounce this? Is it A, new, B, nyo, C, kyo, or D, nya? So this one is actually a bit of a gimme, since you should definitely remember ni, since we just looked at it. And that little Y sound is U. So when you put them together, you should get new. Okay, this one will either be very tricky for you or it's going to be far too easy. This hiragana makes what sound or sounds exactly? Is it A, he, B, e, C, usually he but sometimes e, or is it D, none of these sounds at all? Too easy, right? Mostly I just wanted to remind you that when you see the hiragana he, it's sometimes pronounced e. Basically, it's e when it's used in a particle, specifically the particle that indicates direction of movement. Trust me, I'll cover this more in the future, but basically, this sentence is gakkoe-iku, which means to go to school, or I go to school, someone goes to school. The hiragana he is pronounced e in cases like this, where it's used in such a way that it means to or towards. In other cases, such as when he is part of a noun, it will be pronounced he. Alright, here's another pronunciation question. What sound does this hiragana make? A, mu, B, gu, C, nu, or D, shu? And of course, it's nu. Remember that nu kind of looks a little bit like a noodle? These next few questions are going to test your knowledge of hiragana as a set or a pattern. You're going to look at the set and decide what's missing. In this case, I'm not going to give you the pronunciation for the members of the set that I'm showing you, and you're just going to have to find the fifth member of the set by visually recognizing them. So look at these hiragana. Which one of the following belongs in this set? I did give you these out of order to throw you off a bit. Hey, I said the test would get harder as we went along. But you're looking at the ra-gyo here. Da, ri, ru, de, and ro. The missing hiragana was ri. So here's a set with dakuten, those two little lines. The instructions are the same as the last question. You're finding the missing hiragana that belongs in this set. And the missing one was C, bu. Remember when the ha-gyo takes the dakuten, the two lines, the H sound becomes a B sound. Ha-gyo can also take han-dakuten, that tiny circle, in which case they become a P sound. One more like this. You're all brilliant, so I know you're going to get this one right away. What's this? The missing one was D, obviously. These are all hiragana from the ma-gyo, so it's ma, mi, mu, me, mo. And the missing one was ma. Were those a bit too easy? I think so far most of the questions have been pretty easy. These next ones might be a little harder. So for this question, you're looking for the hiragana that sound like the word kan. Alright, so in order, these were A, han, B, kan, C, gan, and D, hen. This was mostly just to remind you about the n sound character, and that it comes at the end of a syllable in this way. Be careful with this one. Several of those U hiragana are big, and several of them are small. Do you remember the difference? Which of these would be pronounced ju? You're so smart. It's C. Keep in mind that U and the small u can be a little tricky to pick out when you see them. But in most cases, if the hiragana before u ends in an e sound, then it's probably going to be that glide sound. Because something like shi yu or ji yu sounds a lot more difficult to say than shu or ju. That's not an absolute rule, but it's something to keep in mind. You've been doing great so far. For these next questions, I'm going to ask you to look at some hiragana and identify the pattern. Then pick out the one that does not belong. Think careful about it though. Some of these are very tricky. So which one of these does not belong here? Did you find it? It was tsu. Tsu might sound a little bit like an S sound, but it definitely belongs in the tagyo. Be sure to sound out these hiragana carefully before you try to identify the one that stands out as difficult. I think this is a hard question, so I'm going to give you extra time for it. I'll go see what Manager-sama is up to while you work it out. Did you find the one that's different? It was D, pu. That's because all of the other hiragana here ended in E sounds. This was the only one that ended in an U sound. See, I told you some of these could be tricky. How about this one? Can you spot the one that doesn't fit? I primed you for this one. Of course it's B, because that sound doesn't even exist in Japanese. Remember, small ya, small u, and small yo can only be attached if the previous character is an E sound. So, fyo really just isn't a sound that we can make using Japanese. These next few questions will be a little straightforward, so I challenge you to try your best and write out the hiragana that's missing. If you can do it, great. If you can't, at least try to identify what hiragana is missing here. The missing hiragana here was u from the agyo. A, I, u, e, o. Remember, u kind of looks like a U turned on its side? It's a line with a curve underneath. Whatever you need to do to remember these hiragana and solidify them in your mind. Next one, what's the missing sound here? Notice that these are all dakuten. The missing hiragana was ze. Don't forget that the S sounds become Z sounds when they have a dakuten, 2 lines, attached to them. Alright, this set. What's missing here? I hope you remembered that there are only 3 Y sounds in modern Japanese. Ya, you, and yo. I like these sounds a lot. What's missing from this set? It was re. Don't forget that the Japanese R sound is somewhat between an R and an L. So these sounds are ra, ri, ru, re, and ro. You're still going to be understood if you say ra, ri, ru, re, and ro. You'll just sound like a gaijin, a foreigner. How about this line? What's missing here? Did I trick you? There were 2 hiragana missing, so hopefully you gave them both to me. The answer, of course, was me and mo. Ma, mi, mu, me, mo. Last one like this. What's missing here? Gah! I just spilled water on my skirt. Right. The answer is ga. Ga, gi, gu, ge, go. This one is really simple. All you have to do is identify which of these hiragana is wa. That's super easy, right? Heh, heh, heh. The answer was A. A is wa. B is re. C is ne. Those three are the ones that sort of look similar to one another. And by the way, D is actually a very old hiragana for we. It's not used anymore, but it almost definitely would have been like that 1,000 years ago. All right, these next 5 questions ask you to actually write the word in hiragana if you can. If you're able to write it, that's great. If not, then please try to memorize the word to the best of your ability when I reveal the answer. Your first word is koen. Koen means a park. So how would you write it? Here it is. Ko-u-e-n. Koen. Do your best to try to memorize how to write it. Writing hiragana really helps you to remember it over time. The next word that I want you to write is byoin. It's not such an easy word, but it means hospital. Good luck! Here's byoin in hiragana. If you didn't get it, please try writing it down now. Byoin. Byoin. This is actually a word you've never seen before, at least in my lessons. It's mirai. Mirai means the future. Can you write it? If you can't, I bet you'll be able to write it in the future. Mirai. Mirai. It's kind of fun to say. Mirai. Maybe it's just because I really like those R sounds. 2 of these left. How would you write the word tatemono? Tatemono means building. The mono part actually means thing, and you can stick it on the end of a lot of verb forms to make like a verb thing. Tatemono is a build thing. Tabemono is an eat thing, a food. Nomimono is a drink thing, a drink. We'll talk more about mono and how to use it in the future, but for now, please write tatemono. Ta-te-mo-no. Pretty easy. No tricky hiragana here or anything like that. Finally, we have gyuniku. Are you able to write this word? It means beef. Gyuniku. 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 Beef. Or literally cow meat. That just leaves the bonus questions. Here's the first one. What does this word mean in English? We talked about it in one of my lessons, but do you remember? It's C, morning. Did you remember it? Red is akai, salt is shio, morning is asa, and umbrella is kasa. Bonus 2. What does this word mean? That was tough, right? This word is hikoki, which means airplane. Hyomen is how you say surface. Fune is a boat. And tsukue is desk. Last question. Super bonus question. Do you know what Puppy-Sensei's favorite fruit is? And the answer is, I'm not going to tell you. The answer is out there. If you know it, then get in the comments. So that's it for our first test. I know there were some tricky questions on there, but of course my goal is to help you learn, and sometimes we need to know what we don't know. If you got all 28 questions right, including the bonus questions, then you get a super special excess point, which has no value, but it's special because it's from my heart with love. I hope you learned something from the test. Please let me know if you absolutely don't like this testing format. I really do take your feedback very seriously. Next time I see you, we'll start talking about katakana. You've been doing amazing, so please keep up the good work. Love you all a lot. Please don't forget to lead with love. I've been XS. See you soon. Mata ne!